All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Land of Chem. I am your host and the author. My name is Jeffrey Drum. Thank you all so much for joining me again. All right, everyone, welcome back. This is episode 61, and I'm coming in hot today, having just released the new Doppler radar scans of the Great Pyramid of Giza, which reveal the potential for new chambers that still remain hidden inside of the structure, and which also confirm my theory that there is an extraction shaft system located beneath the niche of the Queen's Chamber. So in today's episode, we're going to take a journey to explore these chambers so you can see what it's like inside of this ancient chemical reaction system for yourself. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Land of Chem here on YouTube and click that little notification button so that you do not miss the new videos when they come out every single week. If you want to help support the channel, just go to thelandofchem.com. You can pick up some Land of Chem merch or a limited first edition print copy of the book. Either way, thank you all so much for the support. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is @thelandofchem. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that is it for today's intro. So without further ado, let's get right to it. All right, everyone, here we go with tonight's episode. So in the previous video, I described how the Great Pyramid of Giza was designed to produce a dilute solution of sulfuric acid by generating sulfur dioxides in the furnace chamber located here and drawing them through the antechamber into the contact process chamber located here, where they dissolve in a highly exothermic reaction to produce sulfuric acid. And that reaction sequence is very similar to the modern contact process, which you can see here. And all you have to do is replace the King's Chamber with this sulfur furnace, the antechamber with this converter, the Grand Gallery with this absorption tower, and the Queen's Chamber with this extraction system, and you can see the internal components of the Great Pyramid in operation. And here is an image that I believe is depicting the first industrial scale sulfuric acid manufacturing apparatus that was invented by Peregrine Phillips in 1831. And I think this is the sulfur furnace here that is producing sulfur dioxide gas that is getting pumped into a heated chamber here and then is drawn through this converter. And then the end over here, this is the absorption tower or contact process chamber where water is flowing from this tank and mixing with the gases to form the sulfuric acid solution. All right, everyone, 'tis the season, and just a quick reminder that brand new Land of Chem merch is finally available at thelandofchem.com. I've got hoodies, long sleeve t-shirts, of course, the original Land of Chem t-shirts, and don't forget, limited first edition print copies of the book, The Land of Chem, An Initiation into Ancient Chemistry through the Degrees of the Egyptian Pyramids, all available now at thelandofchem.com. So if you want to help support the channel, just go to the website. You can grab a hoodie, pick up a t-shirt, grab one of these limited first edition print copies of the book. Either way, all of the orders mean more to me than words can possibly ever describe. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, back to the modern science and the new Doppler radar scans of the Great Pyramid of Giza, from which these 3D models were created. Now, I will say again that these models are a bit of a stretch of the imagination based on what the scans actually show, and the science and technology behind this satellite scanning imagery is dubious at best. However, I do think they reveal the potential for hidden chambers like the above gallery, which you can see depicted here in green at number 19. So this chamber has already been shown in previous scans of the Great Pyramid, and now verified again by this team. And according to my theory, the presence of this chamber would be absolutely no surprise. Remember that the reactions inside of the contact process chamber were extremely exothermic, and for now I will leave it at that, as I will be getting to a full explanation of this component coming up soon. And again, an absolutely remarkable depiction of what could be the vestiges of the water lock system that was utilized to raise the blocks during the construction process that still remain hidden inside of the structure. Or perhaps this entire frame, composed of 1, 2, 4, and 5, is a semi-collapsible internal dampening mechanism designed to absorb and mitigate the structural forces during the initiation of the sulfur furnace combustion sequence. And of course, these scans reveal the extraction chamber system that I predicted would be located beneath the Queen's chamber. And you can see here the scan image on the right at tags number 14, 15, and 16 that are depicted here on the 3D model on the left at tag number 14, tag number 15, and tag number 16. And you can see here that tag number 14 in red is one collection chamber. Tag number 15 here in black is yet another potential collection chamber that are connected by a shaft system leading from the termination at the bottom of the niche inside of the Queen's chamber, moving down in this direction toward number 15. And you can see a close-up of this extraction chamber shaft system located beneath the Queen's chamber here, along with another very, very interesting view of the proposed features that are now being derived from these new Doppler radar scans. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, now let's take a journey inside of the Great Pyramid of Giza so you can see what it looks like inside of this ancient chemical reaction chamber system for yourself. I hope you enjoy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go into the Great Pyramid of Giza. And we are entering the passageway that was excavated by Al-Mamun in the exploration of the structure. Here is the passageway, the northern pump shaft leading down into the subterranean chamber. And this is the only original inlet into this structure, was leading down into this subterranean chamber. And as your pump block was compressed into the northern shaft, that forced water from the subterranean chamber up through the well shaft into the contact process chamber, which we will now be entering here in just a moment. And again, this part that we are going to be traversing now, this back here, beautiful. And the part which we are going to ascend toward now is not an original part of this structure. So this is all excavation. This part here is excavation, and these stairs are a modern addition. However, you will see here the remains of the granite plugs that were originally at the top of this shaft, which have now slid back down. And here we go, ascending up. And this is the termination of the well shaft. And that well shaft is where water was pumped up from the subterranean chamber into this contact process chamber. And here we go. And here, as we get to the step at the top of the Grand Gallery. This part here was originally eroded away, and this has been patched with modern concrete. So there was a fluid deterioration pattern or erosion that was occurring here. And looking up into the upper vault, note all of the significant oxidation in the upper part of this contact process chamber. And they should take a chemical analysis of that oxidation to determine exactly what it is. And here we're going to go into the antechamber. And here we are inside the antechamber. This was excavated to circumvent the antechamber here. And this is the opening where the gases flowed down into the contact process chamber and here into the antechamber. This is patchwork, modern patchwork, the 4 deep grooves. And over this stone leads into the cavity here. And again, there were 3 massive stone blocks that were inserted here so that the only thing that could pass through this antechamber were gases flowing through those grooves toward the contact process chamber. And look at the significant oxidation on that part of the wall, on the northern part of the antechamber. Here we go. Finally, everybody's cleared out here. All right, so I'm gonna get some video on the way back through. But as we have a spare moment, here inside the antechamber, and I will be discussing the function of this component upon my return. And you can see here where the vertical blocks were inserted here that originally sealed this chamber, and then the 4 grooves that allowed the passage of sulfur oxides into the contact process chamber. And again, this here is restoration work, and I pointed out some additional restoration work there at the foot. There was a big eroded part here flowing down into the Grand Gallery, which all this has been patched. Same thing here, this is a patch. And passing through antechamber, here we are. Inside the primary chamber. Just a few things to note in here. So this is the termination of the southern air shaft, which leads all the way to the exterior of the structure. So you can see the configuration of that termination. This is the northern air shaft. Also leading all the way to the outside of the structure. This area here is where stones have been removed, and this is a concrete block. And there's another hole, pit, that leads down here into a chamber underneath the Grand Gallery, at least a pit that goes down here that's been covered up. So this is modern right here. And this one's been removed, as has this one. This is modern, and this is modern, to cover up that hole. And of course, the container.
Resonance box, you can call it sometime. When we talk about machining, we see here some of the evidence of the overcut plate on the corner.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are wrapping up here inside the sulfur furnace of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And we are going to travel through the manufacturing cycle that leads from this furnace chamber through the antechamber and into the contact process chamber. So sulfur oxides were being produced inside of this chamber. And these air shafts were utilized to bring air into this chamber from the outside of the structure, facilitating the combustion process and the production of those sulfur oxides. So as the combustion proceeds, the sulfur oxides were drawn through this antechamber into the contact process chamber. And this was done by draining the water from the contact process chamber, which drew air through these air shafts into the structure. And now those gases would be drawn through this antechamber. Again, remember that this chamber was sealed with 3 granite slabs, and the only way for gas to flow from this chamber through the antechamber into the contact process chamber is created by these 4 grooves. So the stone blocks that sealed this antechamber prevented the liquid from flowing from the sulfur furnace into the contact process chamber, but these grooves allowed the passage of gases that were being drawn through this antechamber to pass all the way through and into the contact process chamber. And so those large slabs of granite were housed in here. You can see inside of this chamber, as with in almost all areas of the Great Pyramid, there is pretty significant oxidation. Here, you see there, and you see that all throughout the Grand Gallery. So again, we're taking the same passage that those gases would have flown through, and this is a passage that was excavated around the antechamber. And you can see here, this is where those gases would have dropped down. So this is also in the antechamber here. This is looking back to where we just were. You can see those grooves on the other side of this stone partition. The gases would have flown down through here, passing through into the contact process chamber. And as I mentioned before, this whole area here is patchwork. This was originally all eroded out of the structure and has been patched with modern concrete. As I showed before, the patch on the lower portion of the antechamber. So now we move here into the contact process chamber, and you can see all of that oxidation on the upper point of the tiered vault system. And bear with me, and I will take you in a journey down through this chamber as we proceed towards the extraction and collection chamber and the subterranean pump system in just one moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And I'm going to take you down through the contact process chamber. So inside of this chamber, the sulfur oxides that were being produced inside of the furnace chamber were being dissolved into water, producing the solution of sulfurous acid, which gradually became oxidized into sulfuric acid. Ooh, there you go. And you can see that the entire inside of this chamber appears as if it's been heated to a very, very high temperature. That was the first impression that I got my first time in here in 2017, was that this looked like the inside of an oven that had been baked. But we know that the reaction between sulfuric, or rather the dissolution of sulfurous acids into water, creates an enormous amount of heat. It's an exothermic reaction. So that would certainly explain the appearance of excessive heat inside of these chambers. And I'm going to try to avoid everyone else as they pass through here. And just look at all that oxidation in the upper part of the contact process chamber. And we are moving down toward what is conventionally known as the quote-unquote well shaft, but that's actually connected to the subterranean pump mechanism which was pushing water into these chambers. So your solution is being produced inside of this chamber, which then flowed through this channel down towards your extraction chamber.
Better?
And we have here the entrance or opening to that extraction chamber system. Here. And this is the opening, to the well shaft that connects down into the subterranean chamber. So as we came into the structure, we saw the northern shaft, which leads down into the subterranean chamber. That subterranean chamber is connected into the interior system through this well shaft. And the subterranean pump was pumping water up through this well shaft, which filled this entire system for the production of that acidic solution here inside the contact process chamber. All right, everyone, that is it for today's video. This was episode 61, The Land of Chem 2022 Ancient Alchemy and Ascension Research Expedition Recap Part 8, covering the Great Pyramid of Giza. And in the next episode, I'm going to continue with one of the greatest archaeological discoveries that I made during this year's research expedition inside the Central Pyramid of Giza. Please subscribe to The Land of Chem here on YouTube and click that little notification button so you do not miss the new videos when they premiere every single week. If you want to help support the channel, just go to thelandofchem.com. You can pick up some Land of Chem merch, grab a limited first edition print copy of the book. Either way, all the orders mean the world to me. Thank you all so much for your support. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is @thelandofchem. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that is it for today's episode, so I will see you next time. Yo, are you still watching this? Please subscribe to The Land of Chem here on YouTube and click that little notification button. New videos coming out every single week. And check out this other episode. Come on, do it. Do it now.